Hey now. Happy Thursday, right? Today's Thursday? Yes, today's Thursday. Happy Thursday. How y'all doing? Let's say hello. Hey, Greta is here, first in the house. Hello, everyone. Hey. Venus is here. Hello, Venus. How are you? Hey. I want to say hello. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Krishan Wright, the founder of Global and the host of the Global podcast. If you're a Black person in the African diaspora and you want to move abroad, this is the place. I'm the lady. Say hi. Hey, Maureen, how are you? Ooh, St. Martin. Oh my gosh, on my bucket list for sure. I'm happy for you. Wow, thanks for tuning in all the way from St. Martin. I am in Lisbon, Portugal, and it is 10:30 p.m. here. So I wanted to just tell y'all that this is going to be my time slot. Oh, Maureen said I could come visit. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna come. This is now going to be my time slot. I'm committing to Thursdays at 5:30. You probably were on the live with our friends, our Black Utopia. They do their Thursday shorts every other Thursday. And so they finish around 5:30 Eastern, and I'll be on the heels of that. And speaking of our friends, our Black Utopia, they and I are partnering for the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. So I'm excited for that. That is happening November 3rd through the 5th. So that is your one-stop shop. Shout out to our sponsors. We have Serenity Care, we have SPG Associates, and we have Lighthouse Consulting. So we have the best of the best. So we will have immigration attorney, business attorney, tax professionals, talking about the Portuguese side as well as the US side of the equation, real estate professionals. Portugal, the place will be there. Border, that some of you are familiar with. If you're looking at getting your NIF and opening your bank account, this is all the questions will be answered. So if you have questions about NHR, whatever the case may be, this is going to be the one. You might hear a little crying in the background. That's Sweet Bailey. She wants to be with her mama. I know. She was on my lap, but I was like, boo-boo, you don't behave all the time when I'm live. So, you're going to have to take a chill pill. So you might hear her. So let's see who else is here. Vicky G. Hey, Vicky G. How you doing? And Ms. Robinson. Hi, from Chicago, Chi-Town. So I will actually, let's see, because I was just talking about the mint. Let me drop that link for those of you who do not have it. Let me see. And speaking of summits, some of you probably are new to me because I spoke at this past weekend's Exodus Summit, which was amazing. Stephanie and Rashida put on an amazing summit. I talked about scouting and, how to put your best foot forward and give my best tips and tricks on how to country shop. Let's see who else is here. Hey, Lori is here. Cart One. Hello from Raleigh. How are you? Hey now. And speaking of scouting, I probably should make this announcement because they seem to be going pretty quick. So I am hosting a house. So, which I'm realizing I don't have the link for that one. Let me see if I can grab it. But I am hosting a house. So I am teaming up. Let's see. All right, let me do it this way. And I'll post the link after, because if I open too many windows, many things can go wrong. So I'm hosting a house with Amber, who is Overseas with Ease, and we are doing the Lit House, Blaxit Global Lit House. So if you're interested in moving to Portugal and maybe you are a digital nomad, you want to be location independent, maybe you want to retire, you want to kick the tires, test out the country, I will be your host. So you have an option of doing a 3-week stay or a 1-week stay. You'll have your own bedroom, your own bathroom. Me as your host will talk about all the things that you need to know to acclimate yourself in Portugal. We'll go shopping, get over the points of interest, also do some fun activities together. But it really is your way of having like a concierge with you as you scout. So if that is of interest to you, because I just realized I did not put the link to that here, either send me an email at info@blaxitglobal.com, or I will post it for those who are watching the replay in the description of this video. So let's get to it. Let's see. Oh, so Greta's in the chat talking. Mm-hmm. Hey, our friends, our Black Utopia. Hey, y'all. How you doing? How you doing? Cool, cool, cool. So let's get into this discussion about move abroad mistakes. So I've been doing this Blaxit Global for quite a few years now and have helped many people get to Portugal and other places. Actually, this is probably our biggest year so far, in that we have had, and the year's not out yet, we've had 13 group members move this year. So 1 to Thailand and the rest of us to Portugal. In fact, we're having our freedom party on Saturday. I'm hosting a private freedom party to welcome our members and their families and friends and some former guests to the podcast to come on out and support. So it's going to be a love fest this weekend because, you know, this whole move abroad thing, it's not easy, but it's so worth it. So what I've seen is I've seen some really great successes, and then I've seen people struggle and ultimately not do well on their move. And so I thought it would be helpful to kind of go over with y'all ways in which, you know, you might be unknowingly making some of these mistakes. And then this way it gives you an opportunity to course correct. Or if you know somebody who's on their move abroad journey or thinking about it, and maybe you might see them in the things that I mentioned. This is an opportunity for you to approach with loving kindness, a way to kind of course correct, because we want people to make their dreams a reality over here. Hey, my piece is in the house. Hola, hola, boa noite. Boa noite for me, boa tarde for you. All right, so let's get into it. So I had a list because I've seen it all. So one of the things that, you know, really trips people up is, and this is in no particular order, and let me know, because, you know, it's a safe space. You can let me know in the comments if this rings true for you, or anything that you think that I don't mention that should be top of mind. Is procrastination. Thinking about moving abroad, saying I'm going to move, but not doing it, not setting a date, either a specific date that you can work towards, or even a year, right? So sometimes people say, oh, I'm going to move, but then it's like this never anything. There's this date, and the date just, or the time frame keeps moving. And, you know, it's not going to help you on your journey if you don't set a goal. Setting a goal helps you get something to work towards, right? And so, again, procrastination is only going to have you doing that whole, you know, merry-go-round over and over, and you're just treading water, really. in my travel says, I'm so happy for you. You tell the truth about what it means to move abroad. It's not for the faint of heart, but it is so worth it if you do it for the right reasons. Absolutely. Hey, 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 hey. So procrastination is one of the big ones. Hey, on my way out of here, Phyllis is here, one of our YouTube members. Hey, hey, hey. And you can be like on my way out of here, Phyllis. You can become a member of our YouTube channel. Yes, we have a membership. You can hang out and share things, behind the scenes stuff. It's going to be more of that stuff soon, too. So glad you're here, Phyllis. So, yes, number one, procrastination. Hey, Jametta. Another one is thinking that being moving abroad is for other people, but not for you. You may listen to the Blaxitglobal podcast. You might have these, influencers, YouTubers that you follow, and you think, oh, I'm inspired, right? But it's not for me for whatever reason. But guess what? It can be for you if you want it to be, right? And so what I find that underneath that is that it's really a situation of worthiness, thinking like someone else is worthy of living this life that you see, snippets of, right? You only see snippets on Instagram, on YouTube, right? But thinking that, oh, it's not for me, right? They had a pile of money that fell through from the sky or something else. You count your own self out. To that, I would say to you or anyone who's struggling with that is don't be the one that clips your own wings. Don't let anyone else clip your wings, but you especially don't be the one that clips your own wings. So you can make it happen. Another one is, and we talked about this in the group, the blaxitglobal passport community. You should come inside. It's friendly. We get people out of here. It's over analyzing, doing all the research, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm on the live. I got my notes. I'm in Exodus Summit. I got my notes, right? I'm on the internet doing the searches, and you have a binder full of information, and it's analysis paralysis. But again, then you keep going in the perpetual circle, right? It's overwhelm. There's a point in which sometimes we just want a lot of information to have the highest degree of certainty, to think that, oh, we won't fail. Here's the deal. You might move and it may not be for you. It might not work out. But guess what? At least you did it. And no one can deny that you tried it and you did it. And that in and of itself is not a failure. So in my talk at Exodus Summit, I talked about fear and how fear can hold you back. And you hear that acronym like face everything and rise. And I say, face each adversity ready. Your brain has already come up with a bunch of different scenarios about why this might not work, right? You might not have enough money. You might not pick the right country, all these things, right? You might not have a job lined up. But if you can start to tackle those things and quiet your mind, you'll have more reassurance. And also, what I find is the higher level of anxiety that gets you on the cycle of researching and ruminating is mainly brought on by your environment in the States. You have the 24-hour news cycle, all of these things that tell you you're not enough, you don't have enough, all of this scarcity mindset. So it's hard when you're seeing things and you're seeing people that you perceive as doing well and thriving, and you're like, oh, wait, but I got to research this more. No, you're going to get to the level with support, like having community. And at some point, right, and I'm not always the greatest at analogies, but you get the boat as close as you can to the dock, but there's always a gap there. So, what I want you to do is know that it's safe enough to take the leap, right? Hey, Kathy's here. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? Another one of our YouTube channel members. Hey. Join Kathy. Come in. It's nice in there. All right, let's go at it. So we've got procrastination, worthiness, overanalyzing. Now, trauma response. Ooh, there's a big one, especially when I had the blaxitglobal Facebook group. So when I closed the group and we switched over the passport, we had almost about close to 9,000 members at that time. And I would always see like this influx of people when something happened. Someone was unfortunately unalived, usually by the police, or some other incident, egregious incident that we have our fair share of trauma as Black people living in America. And then there would like be an influx of people. And I get it, right? When Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, I saw it. I mean, that's the reason why I created Black to Global. It's like I was ready to go, but I knew my timeline was still 3 years out. And so I channeled that into what we now know to be Black to Global. But what happens is sometimes people have this trauma response and they want to go out and they're searching for information. And then soon as it's on to the next story, the interest dies down, right? And what I offer to you is like, I understand that the trauma response is strong, especially being in the States, but do your best to raise your consciousness so that you can break free from this, like, oh, I'm going to wait for something else to happen. If they do this, then I'm going to go. If this happens, then I'm going to go. There's always going to be something. That's the reality, right? We live in America. You know, there's been so many, even, you know, people thought the last straw was George Floyd. And obviously, we've seen so many horrific things that have happened since then. So, what I'm offering to you is, again, set a date. Avoid these, oh, I'm just going to wait till something else happens. If this happens, don't wait to be the next headline. Another one, no money. Failing to invest in your dream. So money, like I said, does not fall through the sky. And people have these ideas of moving abroad, but no plan, right? As if time on its own is going to miraculously enable you to have enough money to do it. And so that is one of the ways in which you can really get yourself in a bind. You know, saying, oh, you know, I can move abroad with, you know, $500. You know, you'll find somebody who's the exception, who's done it probably 15, 20 years ago, and thinking, oh, that's okay. I only need this. I can't think of a place that I could live. And I've been to, well, now 16 countries. Now, granted, you can do pretty well in Southeast Asia, but still, taking the time to have your money plan right is going to put you on your best foot forward. So another one, and I see Greta is doing the Lord's work in the chat for me. Thank you. Is not taking responsibility. So how does this show up? Okay. Saying that you're going to do it, right? Saying you'll do all the things. I'm going to save, I'm going to invest, I'm going to move, but undermining your own progress and then blaming others. So how does this show up? Yeah, I'm going to move. I'm going to move. What? Prime Day. And you're buying a bunch of shit you don't need. And it's like, well, if you're moving, why is all those Amazon boxes keep showing up at the door? Right? Or doing something else that you know that you don't need. Oh, well, I'm buying another car. But I thought you were planning on leaving. Why are you buying another car? Or, I know I'm going to move. Yeah, but you know what? I think what I'm going to do is go back to school, get another degree or certificate, and then I'll be ready to go. Right? Kind of similar to the clipping your own wings, but a little bit different. It's like you say you want to do something, but your actions and behavior continue to undermine your own goal. Hey, Dr. Linda's here. Hey, hey, hey. How you doing? All right. Let's see. And that's self-sabotage. That is complete self-sabotage because you know you want to do it, but do you really? And again, that might, lean towards worthiness, procrastination, again, feeling like you have to have a degree of certainty. Um, another move broad mistake is dismissing someone else's results. How does that show up? So again, you just convince yourself that they're the exception and that it couldn't be what they say it is, or you think it's going to be. How does this show up? Oh, they must have some money. There's something else going on there that they're not saying. Or why did they pick that country? I mean, if that were me, I wouldn't do this. And it's like, we all want ourselves to flourish, right? We all want ourselves to have joy in our life. And sadly, in the States, where you have rugged individualism and scarcity and anxiety, we've gotten to this place where we've moved far from being the collective that is who we are as a people, right? That adage of it takes a village, and that's who we are. And what I love about the community in the Black expat community is that we've come and returned back to center, back to sharing information and resources and community, and less about that whole, oh, you're on your own, out on the spore, and then just feeling the sense of not belonging that starts to make you see the other person as the enemy, see the other person as a competition, disavow and belittle someone else's accomplishments. And wherever you go, there you are. So carrying that mindset into another country, that's just geography, moving from point A to point B. Elevating your awareness, your self-awareness, is going to help you deconstruct. And so I think it was either in my Exodus Summit talk, or no, it was my chat with Adelia. So if you've heard my recent chat on P Girl Travels the World podcast, I talked about shadow work and the shadow work I did leading up to my move because I had some funky ass mindset and things that were still sitting in under the surface that I had to, uncover and excavate and kind of pick apart. And part of the journey is what I like to think of as deconditioning, right? It's the things that you've learned and then questioning, why is it that I feel this way? Why is it that I'm behaving this way? And unpacking that. It's not easy work, but what I think it does do is prevent you from being in this either all or nothing mindset or black or white thinking and understanding that there's shades of gray. And that is the work that continues to happen as you go on your journey, right? It's a journey of self awareness and understanding who you are and who you are in relation to everyone else in the world. So, another one. Actually, let me go back to the chat for a second. Hey, Karen's here. How you doing? Aw, thank you. Our friends are Black Utopias that hit that like button, y'all. Please help the channel grow. Let me know. Let me know that you like this. Let's see, where was I? Ah, unrealistic expectations. How does this show up? I need to get out of here tomorrow. I'm gonna get on a plane, destination, dot, 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 no research. Or you think of the most remote location that it takes to move and or one of the most challenging countries for whatever reason, and it just makes it improbable, right? You think you have to have $1 million to move, right? Or you think you have to do it in a day or whatever it is, like just having these weird expectations, or that when you move, all of the things that you couldn't afford in America, by the time you move to whatever country, Thailand, wherever, right? Ghana, that you're going to have all the things. And that's where I think research comes into play, but not over analyzing, right? Doing your homework, finding the right person or people to follow, torture the assumptions, going on a scouting trip, right? That's how you start to look realistically at your move and not living in the fantasy. Now, I'm one who's a fan of holding on to the dream in a big way. The dream being move abroad. But at some point, you need to, something was flying in the air, probably dog hair. But at some point, you have to be realistic about your budget, realistic about the environment where you're going to. And this will help you start to acclimate to your surroundings and not thinking that once you get on a plane and get off, it's going to be Shangri-La or Wakanda, right? Unrealistic, right? So, realistic expectations. Here's another one: putting your faith and your fate in other people's hands. How does this one show up? So, saying that you need a job. Now, you need money, but that you need to have the job that you have has to give you permission to go over there. Oh, I want to move, but only if my job will let me, or if I get this business contract, or if my entire family is on board, or after a loved one passes, or whatever milestone. Here's the problem with that. I mean, I know Halisi probably already knows the answer is these jobs ain't loyal. They don't care. They don't care that you have bills to pay. They don't care if they decide they don't want you there tomorrow because they had a deal go bad or they need to lighten up their load. They're not worrying about you and maybe your treatments, your health care. Because think about it, your health care in America is tied to your job. Every employer knows that. You might have a condition that they are unaware of, or someone in your family that depends on you. You might have to be providing, those of us in the sandwich generation, supporting a parent and a child or children. So putting your fate and your fate to these jobs that don't give a shit about you. No, 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 no. And family, right? Family, while we love our family, again, it's looking for external validation and permission from other people. I've had people in my own family. Oh, well, what about your kids? You mean them grown ass people? Because now they're both grown. They're gonna be okay, right? If I did my job right, they are okay. Oh, what about your mother? My mother has three children, right? Yes, I'm the only daughter, but she has three children, two of which are 9 and 11 years older than me. Why does it have to come on me? Right? So sometimes we end up being enablers and perpetuating situations that are to our detriment. So you might like your job, or you may hate your job, but don't let your job be the determining factor when, if you want to have time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, start to get in community with the people who are doing the thing that you want to learn to do, and then go about doing that. That might be hooking up with Libria Jones in her quick community. That might be coming into blaxitglobal passport. That might show up as you being in an Exodus summit and looking back at the 2022 Move Abroad Money sessions, right? There are ways in which you can think outside the box. And I understand that that is a heavy ask because we live in a society in America where you are not expected to think out of the box. Case in point, you might be hired for a job, and that job may have selected you because you had a skill that they didn't have internally. Or as you are exceptional. And you get there and you get acclimated in this role, and you come into a meeting and you've got all the great ideas, right? This out of the box idea. And then what happens? You get the, no, but we've always done it this way, right? Maybe you've heard it in other settings. The reality of it is, in America, they don't want you to think outside the box. They want to keep you in the box. And so we've been conditioned and trained to have these horse blinders and always think in these parameters. What I'm saying, and those of you who know my talk at Exodus Summit, I want you to open that aperture. Think more expansively. In this way, you'll be able to see there are other ways in which you can make money, move abroad, get the time freedom, and get the financial freedom that you need. Remember, you only need to get the boat close enough to the dock. At some point, you're going to have to jump. See, Kathy knows these jobs don't matter. These jobs don't matter. They don't care. Let's see. And and if y'all got questions, feel free to put a Q in there. I've been talking. But if you have any questions, feel free to put a Q and I will do my best to answer them. And then another one. Fixed mindset. I have a video on this channel where I talked about mindset and moving abroad and having a fixed mindset and having a growth mindset. Fixed mindset is basically what I'm talking about, in that everything has to be this way. Your move abroad has to be a certain way. It has to look a certain way, either look a certain way for you, look away a certain way for someone else, or the steps have to flow in a particular order. And that if something gets out of order or whatever, then it's all or nothing. It's black or white thinking. Like, if I don't get this, if my job says no, or if I can't get this person on board that says no, or if I don't hit this particular number, right? Again, going back to what I said about opening the aperture, when you have a growth mindset, you can say, maybe in order to get my spouse or my children or someone else on board that's part of this journey, maybe I need to do a scouting trip with them. Maybe I need to present this information to them in a way that I know that they are going to be more receptive to it. I have a friend whose husband was not really open to travel, was like work, and she wanted to come to Portugal, and broached the subject with him. And he was like, "Meh." And sometimes you also have to know when's the right time to broach these conversations. It is not during an argument, right? It is not when the person's tired or angry or whatever. And so she knew that in order to get him on board, he had to see it for himself. So then they were like, oh, we're going to do this little vacation. I'm going to plan it. All you got to do is show up. Loved it. But when the topic was broached earlier, it was like a non-starter. So again, sometimes it's like this out of the box thinking will help you get to goal. Let's see. Do I have any more tea left? Okay. Here's a big one. Not paying attention to those visa and residency requirements. Please don't be the person that gets kicked out of countries. Please don't be the one. Don't be the one. We've seen the stories, especially during COVID, people who were moving and then they were in countries and they were on tourist visas and then they were working while on a tourist visa, which if you're on a tourist visa, you are not allowed to work. And then boasting about said work in another country of which you are a guest and you are not supposed to work, and then getting booted out of said country, right? Like, don't be that person. Please, please, please do your homework. Do your homework. Know what the visa requirements are, how long you can stay, how long it takes to get residency. What are the requirements that you need to have? Maybe you need to open up a bank account like I did moving to Portugal. Maybe you need to have a certain level of income or investments or whatever the case may be. Case in point, many of you who've listened to the Blaxitglobal podcast and have heard my story know that my whole life I've wanted to move abroad. In my whole life, I've wanted to move abroad and live in New Zealand. But yet, I am in Lisbon, Portugal. Right? Why? Because as it got closer to time, I was too young for a retirement visa and too old for a work visa. That and my daughter said it was too far. But again, I could have said, oh, I'm just gonna come over here. I scouted the country twice. I paid all this money to go fly 28 hours, right? They're just gonna let me in. No, that's how you get deported. No, no. See, my brother said, yeah, he knows. Hey, mom. My brother's in the chat, y'all. um, so that is how you need to know what you can do on a visa. If you're on a work visa, work student visa, a lot of countries, particularly in Europe, you can get a whole degree for free. So if you can't move to another country because you don't pass the resident, whatever the litmus test is, maybe you just go get another degree or a certificate. I'm not advocating because, we are the most educated demographic, Black women in this country. I'm not saying that to say get another degree for that purpose, but if that's a way to get you in, it's again thinking outside the box, right? But don't overlook visa requirements, please. Here's another move abroad mistake. Always choosing free. How does that show up? Okay, that is, I'm going to listen to this one, I'm going to listen to that one, and this one said this one, and I can do it myself, and da-da-da-da-da, and you just keep spending hours and hours and hours, but not making headway because this person said one thing and I either put you down this rabbit hole or it was in direct opposition to what someone else said. And then you read an article, right, on a website and you saw something else, or you listened to a podcast and then this person put you in a different, and it's like, or DIYing it and then making a mistake that's more costly. At some point, you're going to have to put down money. I'm going to say it again because somebody's going to need to hear this. At some point, you're going to have to put down money. You're going to have to put down money to get a visa. You're going to have to put down money to get into a country. You're going to have to put down money for whatever reason, either an attorney, a relocation consultant, whatever the case may be. But this is not necessarily an investment in that person. This is an investment in you. Goes back to what I said at the beginning about worthiness. If this is what you think is for you, you are worthy to invest in yourself. Invest in a coaching call. Invest in getting into a group like Flexible Passport. Invest in going to the Move to Portugal virtual summit. Invest in Exodus Summit replays, right? Make that time and say, hey, I got a lot of value and a lot of information. And it's not to say you stop going to YouTube lives and listening to podcasts, but also understanding that the depth and breadth of what you might need to know is going to require someone who has that 10% edge or that higher level of educational information beyond where you are right now. And you need to make that investment in their time to share that with you to help you avoid making a mistake that could cost you more money, or procrastinating to a point where a visa requirement changes or some other thing. A lot of people are talking about the NHR in Portugal and knowing that that potentially is going to sunset. And it's like, okay, well, if you had made that move when you said you were going to make that move, then you might not be in that situation that now you're stressing about. And again, you're going on a hypothetical because based on your sources of income, the NHR might not have made a difference at all. But again, that might mean putting down money and talking to a tax professional. But here's the deal. If you want to move to Portugal, we got the cheat code because the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit, again, will have an immigration attorney, a business attorney. They're going to help you set up your business in Portugal, what you need to know. We're going to have tax professionals, healthcare, real estate, as well as Black expats who are all up and down this beautiful country sharing their experience. So this is your one-stop shop, which is cheaper than paying each one of these people individually, right? Kathy agrees. Yes, you have to invest in the process, invest in the information, invest in yourself, because no one else can want it more than you want it for yourself. I'm going to say that again. No one else can want this more than you want it for yourself. I know I keep talking about Exodus Summit, and for those of you who did not attend but are interested in watching the replays, I'm going to drop that link there too, because it was awesome. It was awesome. And I say this as a speaker and an attendee. It was amazing. It was amazing. Let's see. I'm trying to think of. Oh, okay. Yes. Let me get back on track. Let's see. What was the next one? I'm just going down my list. Lack of community. Pre-move and post-move. So for those of y'all who done already taken the leap, don't think this don't apply to you, right? This live, because I'm talking about all this other stuff. They're like, nah, girl, I ain't listening because I'm already here. I'm already free. This, like I said, I've been at this for a few years. Is not having community. How does this show up? This shows up as you want to move abroad. You've been planning your move, thinking about it, and holding it. And again, because we live in America, and this whole rugged individualism, you realize that you are surrounded by people who are dream killers. And so you cannot tell them, either because you're not yet fortified enough to withstand a negative comment, and you have, again, this kind of over faith in someone else. So having community and being around like-minded people who are actively planning their move, who can give you the support, or maybe coaching, right? Or just another ear. Or for us, and I know I have some members here, our accountability group. We have an accountability group. We met last night. Monthly accountability group. Actually, we have two. And then we have a men's group as well. But we hold each other accountable. It's like we talk about, our wins, our challenges, goals that we have set. And I push people. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to move next year. Okay, great. That's awesome. What date? What date? Put the date in the phone, right? That's going to help you set the goal. That's going to help you with the steps that you need to take, whether it's setting up a bank account, getting your fingerprints, whatever those steps are. But having the community, and let me tell you, Passport, blaxitglobal Passport, it's like the members, they realize they have things in common. Maybe they write, maybe they do something else, like either career or interest wise, or even the same town or area. They meet, they go have coffee, they go up and they hang out. They start the book club. I know Lynette is one of those people. Lynette has been out with the members. But that's how you start to find your tribe. That's how you start to sharpen your plan, and your wings get lift, right? That is the wind beneath your wings is community. that also helps when you make your move. So, for example, when I moved to Portugal 5.5 weeks ago, there were eight, 8 or 9 members. We all moved within 3 weeks of each other. And so we were helping each other, like, oh, where'd you go for your bed? Where did you go for your desk? Or if we're finding something or something's on sale or hanging out, right? Just getting acclimated in a whole new country where, especially for me, where I'm functionally, well, I don't even know if I'm functionally, where I'm illiterate, right? Um, it can combat those things that happen, the overwhelm, the loneliness that might occur, the feeling out of like a fish out of water. When you have other people with you who are able to help you acclimate. Another way community shows up. When I came back to Portugal a few weeks ago, I had my list as I got acclimated. And I was like, oh, when I go back to the States, which I did a few weeks ago for my daughter's birthday, I had my list of things that I either was having a hard time finding here or I knew they didn't have it all that I need to get in the States and bring back. So one of the items, and Haley will know, was grits. And so I went and I got my grits and I packed them in my suitcase right before I left. And then I got to Portugal and I opened my luggage and there was grits all in my luggage. Now, I'm happy because I also had a bottle of rib rack in there, barbecue sauce. It could have been the barbecue sauce that exploded, in which if it did, I would not have that luggage anymore. At least now I just got to clean out the grit dust. But Halisi for the win because she had followers had brought her grits. And so she was kind enough to give me grits. And what did I have for breakfast today? And I don't know if Halisi's still there. I had my grits today, girl, because of you. And how did that happen? From community, right? So community is going to help you pre-move and post, right? Where are you going to get your hair done? Where are you going to get your eyebrows done? Like all of these things that as you start to acclimate, where are you going to eat? Where's the grocery store? A couple weeks ago, I was looking for maple syrup. It is not a thing, right? But one of my members, like, oh, who's been here a few months prior, was like, oh, you need to go to Lidl. Okay, went there, got it. Now I got a plenty, right? So that's how getting plugged in with the right people that can breathe air for you. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes we're exhausted as hell with the burdens that we have to handle, right? Carrying the load. And sometimes it's hard to wear that crown. Sometimes you need help. Sometimes you need someone to help adjust the crown for you, or your oxygen mask is slipping. You just need that person that sees it and helps put it right back on your face. That's what community is all about. That's the space that we want to cultivate because that is going to help you when those challenges, which are inevitable, happen. The closer, and I said this to the group as we were preparing for our freedom journeys, the closer you get to goal, oftentimes, the more you will be tested. It's a test of your resolve. How bad do you want it? You want it bad enough, no burden, no obstacle is going to get in your way. Think about our ancestors. Think about James Baldwin. Think about Josephine Baker. Think about Harriet Tubman going through forest, swamps, dogs chasing them, clear people following them. But freedom was the ultimate goal. No thing, nothing, no thing could get in that way from reaching goal. So again, getting into community is important. I see this resonated with Greta. Yes. Yes, we will be tested. We will be tested. I see this is hitting on with a lot of y'all. But don't be deterred. Yes, like F Doctor said, remembering it is only a test. And sometimes these tests show up. It's like I had a challenge on my move, and and I say these things, and sometimes I have to say them to myself. Excuse me. And I got to a point where it was just like, okay. I get it. I'm being tested. I got it. I got it. I got it. I'm being tested. Because think about when you were a kid or whenever you were in school, right? And you might have gotten that pop quiz, or maybe it was a test you studied for or didn't study for, and you got a couple things wrong, right? And then you get your test at the end of the semester, and it's like a compilation of like all these things that you've learned, and now you're presented either with the same question that you struggled with the first time or a similar question. Maybe you're gonna get that question wrong, or maybe you figured out the solution or the answer and you're gonna get that question right. So sometimes in life, you get these challenges and these tests that might be similar to an experience that you had earlier on in life, where maybe you were presented with this situation or set of circumstances, either exactly the same or similar. And maybe you chose door one when in fact you should have chose door number two. Sometimes things continue to show up because we keep answering the question on the test this way. So what I say to you is that when you're being tested, start to recognize it's a test, right? Not that it's going to derail everything. Maybe it's looking for you to choose or behave or do something differently so that you can pass that test and then go to the next level. Yes, everyone's Blackfoot journey is unique. Oh, Cosette is here. Hello, Cosette. How are you? Yes, yes, you can build community even when it doesn't exist. Yes. I mean, look, this is how our communities were built, right? Like we built the things that we wanted to see. Yes, hey Lynette. Yes. So community, I can't say it enough, is get in community. Whether you come into the blaxitglobal passport community, whether you become a channel member, like I said, or these amazing groups out here, Expat app, Exodus Summit, maybe you're in all of them, right? It's like fortify yourself. You need to fortify yourself. This walk is not easy. Not saying necessarily moving abroad, I'm talking about the walk of being a Black person existing in America, where you're constantly being gaslit, right? where you're told that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, that you have to work 10 times as hard to get half as much, that you're doing the work of 5 people but getting barely paid the equivalent of one. And then the reward for doing all of that work is more work. And then when your body breaks, or your mind, or sadly both, there's a nice bill when you have to go to the doctor because you're having stomach issues, or you can't sleep, or you're gaining weight, or you're losing weight, or some other illness is manifested, and you're in a country that it costs or can bankrupt you if you get sick. Because didn't, like, last year or 2 years ago, somebody might be having to keep me honest and look it up. Didn't the Surgeon General, remember how the Surgeon General used to come up with those warnings, um, that smoking can cause cancer, right? It would always be on the cigarettes. And first time I went to Canada was, I think, the first country I had gone to. And I went to the store, and some countries they don't bullshit. They cut to the chase. So they had it on their cigarettes like, no, these will kill you. Right? The US kind of softball, like, oh, smoking can cause cancer. Mm-mm-mm. They were like, this will kill you. And the Surgeon General said, I believe it was last year or the year before, but it was basically the way we work in America is contrary to our health. The US Surgeon General has said this, but yet companies have colluded to bring everybody who was remote for the past 3+ years back into the office because we work better together. You mean the same job that you can't stand the person in the cube next to you because they talk on the phone all day, their feet stink, they're loud, they didn't said something rude, or they're kissing the bosses behind, or they get paid more money, or whatever the litany it is. But that the way we work in the US is counter to ensuring our public health. When we look at people in other countries that get 6 weeks standard break. Mm-mm. F Doctor said US systems profit from people being in poverty, in prison, and sick. Why would they tell us? Why would they? This has been a thing going around about the countries, I think last week or this week. My sense of time is off. I sleep a lot. Is they were saying Japan has banned a bunch of US foods because of ingredients. I'm like, and most US foods you will not find in Europe. And if they do sell it here, the ingredients are very different than the label that they sell in the US. I follow Food Babe. If you're on Instagram, follow Food Babe. I love her. Food Babe, and my brother, he knows. Put him on the Food Babe. Food Babe will have you probably never eaten again. And she has a book coming out too. I'm not getting paid by Food Babe, but Food Babe, if you're watching this, I love your content. But she is like reading those labels, honey, let me tell you. But you do not find our food in other countries. They don't want that shit. There was actually an article the other day, I think it was Sunday, on CNBC or CNN, and or maybe it was the Washington Post. I think it was Washington Post. And it said, why is it that Americans travel to Europe and find that they eat more food than they eat back in the US, but lose weight. Why? And actually, I was having this conversation with my daughter's writing instructor when she went to Italy. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I ate all this great food, all this pasta, all this bread, all this stuff that when I'm in the States, I eat one night and like I'm bloated." She's like, "I came back and I lost weight. I lost 5 pounds." So yeah, the food is cleaner. You're eating clean food, right? Not food laden with preservatives and things like that. Like there's a lot of things that I was used to buying in states that I can't source here because they make it fresh. So it's like you don't need garlic in a jar. You just buy garlic and cut it up. Right? So it's like those things. But it is, oh wow, the ABX girl, the state of California banned certain ingredients this week. Yep, yep. But here's the deal with that, right? They'll ban it, but they'll say, oh, it's a phase out. And so it'll be gone by 2027. Shit, we in 2023. So you're just supposed to. In America, it's like you pay to be poisoned. I was having this conversation with my mother because we were talking about like how my food budget is. And I said, oh, most weeks I'm spending, and I'm still kind of getting stuff for the house. So I don't know what my true like budget is yet. But I said on average, I'm spending no more than like 40 a week, 40, sometimes 50. And I have bags of groceries, not just a bag or half a bag. And I said, what I've noticed is I eat way more vegetables and fruit here because I can afford to. Not that I couldn't necessarily afford to in the States, but the thing that I've found is the food that you should be consuming, fruits, vegetables, grains, whole, the good food is more expensive. And the bad food, i.e., junk food, that literally tells you the food is junk, but we consume it, and fast food is cheaper. So the good food is more expensive, and the bad food is less expensive. Where here is the exact opposite. Is the healthy food that you're supposed to have is plentiful and affordable, reasonable. You just see people with carts and carts and carts, right? I bought a big old bag of spinach for €1.20 yesterday. The same bag of spinach in the States, three something, four. So they have the exact opposite. The food that is not as good for you is more expensive, as it should be. If it's bad for me, let me pay more if I want to indulge. No. I mean, the only one that I've seen the US do that with is when they banned smoking. And they were like, oh, the big tobacco is going to pay this big settlement and this is going to like fix all the shit. People aren't going to die from cancer. And then what they do, tobacco companies created, was it Atria, and rebranded themselves and came out with Juul, which was 10 times stronger than a regular tobacco cigarette, made it look like a USB, got it in the hands of kids, and now kids are hooked on vaping. Right? Just saying. Carla said, this is so true. Hey, Carla. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They make the junk food cheap. It's a race thing. And food deserts. Food deserts. Especially in our communities. Food deserts. Our Black Utopia, the neighborhood fruterias, oh man, they are wonderful. Are the way to go for inexpensive fruits and veggies in season. That's the other thing. It's like I go to a store now and I realize that well, it was like way when I was a kid, right? There were certain fruits and vegetables and foods you could only get, right? Because it was in season. That's how it was when I was a kid. And as an adult, go to the store and they got everything. Most of the stuff from other countries, and you're getting stuff, because if it came here, obviously it wasn't grown here, or here being the States. I'm not talking about Portugal. Um, and you'll pick it up and it'll be like, oh, from Chile or some other country, Costa Rica. It had to be picked before it was ready, because then it has to be washed, packed, and shipped. And then it has to come to the States, clear customs and all that other stuff before it gets into whatever store, Big Y, Whole Foods, wherever you shop. And most of the stuff has like pesticides and other things, right, on it, chemicals. We pay more in the States for the things that are better for us to live, and the stuff that is not good for us. And then you see and wonder why there are like obese children, toddlers, that then, right, because some of these things, and I'm going on a tangent, but some of these things have endocrine blockers, like you are changing the composition of your DNA. It's just mind-boggling. Carla said, US wants to keep us fat and sick, unhealthy, and dependent on their drugs. Yeah, because it's profitable. F Doctor said, food deserts in one of the richest countries in the world. Make it make sense. Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Load you up with carbs and then nonstop commercials. Oh, that's been another thing that I've been grateful that I'm no longer subjected to these ads, about all the things like, oh, lose 10 pounds, or, oh, take this pill, and, litany of side effects. And it's just like as if, your lifestyle or your habits are completely what is causing you to go awry. How about the food that y'all are allowing in the country or to be manufactured? Like, what does the FDA really do? I don't get it. Yeah, commercials are out of control. This was, I forgot, was it the Oscars? I think it was the Oscars. Yeah, it was the Oscars when the whole slap thing happened. And because that's like one of the shows with like a global audience. Yeah, I think it was when the slap happened. And by accident, the US feed kept going out to other countries, and instead of cutting over to allow the other countries to run whatever commercials, whatever during this spot. So some of the US commercials aired, and of course, they were drug commercials. And people were horrified. It was like, I remember that article. It was just like, what the hell is that? Yeah, it's like, what the hell is that? Novo Nordisk has made billions of Ozempic. Yeah, yeah. It's all these Ozempic people that all of a sudden like lost all this weight. Now, I came to Portugal and I sleep now, I nap, and I walk. Let's see, because I want to look before it becomes midnight for me. Today, 12,454 steps today. So 5.67 miles. When I was in the States, on an average day, because I wear this thing all the time, on a good day, right, I would have 3,500 steps in a day because Picky Girl said she just woke up from her nap. That's what I'm saying. Rest, baby, rest. But my routine was I'd get up in the morning, take the dog out. Really, before we had the dog, when both the kids were in, get up in the morning, go downstairs, kids ready for school, make breakfast, get in the car, right? Take them to school. They get out of the car, right? Drive to work, park the car, sit in meeting, meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, right? You're really only getting up to go to the bathroom, eat, because I'm a food girl, usually at your desk. Or sometimes when I was living in one other apartment, I was only a few minutes away from my house. I would go home, right? Because I want to get away from the people. Get back in the car, go back to the office, sit, meeting after meeting after meeting, go home, or actually get back in the car, get the kids. They get in the car, drive home, get out of the car, make dinner, homework. Y'all doing your homework? Okay, shower. Yep, cool. Go to bed. 3,500 steps. When you really should be doing 10,000 plus. Now, I've been here, I walk all the time. I see kids playing outside, which is something I've not seen. I've seen humans that are not bloated to the size that I've seen them in the States. You can't tell me that it's not the food and that it's not lifestyle. Can't tell me. Tunisia is here. Hi, Tunisia. Karen said, see, that's why I'm trying to get out of the US. I noticed that when I was in Mexico, my average step count was about 19,000. Wow. As soon as I came back to the States, my step count is like 2,000. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Amazing. The lifestyle here in the States is not conducive to a long life. That's why we're seeing people that are passing away. Like my mother's birthday is tomorrow. She's going to be 82. That's why you see people in like my brothers and in my age group where I've had classmates already or deceased have, serious health conditions, just things that should not be happening or didn't happen to our parents' generations, like old age things. Obviously, that's inevitable, right? We didn't come here to stay, but that there are people getting cut down in earlier in life, higher rates of heart disease. We already know that we have predispositions to certain illnesses, but lifestyle things and getting back to moving abroad is sometimes people will delay and say, oh, I'll do that when I retire or 5 years or 10 years, but that body is not going to be probably the healthiest you will ever be, right? the most active that you will ever be. Now, of course, if you're on a path of wellness, get moving your body, get with a trainer, get with a gym, do it yourself, right? There are ways in which you can increase your mobility. But then there's also the thing that I want to get to, which is the psychological safety, that there is also a mental toll of living in the States. So when you think about like your body and what your body has endured, there is a chronological age, right? You are whatever age you are. I'm 49 years old. This body is 49. But if I did like a fitness test or something, they may give me an age that is different than my chronological age. It is the age of what my body is the equivalent of. That could be less, which would be, right? Or they could tell me I have the body of a 7-year-old. So sometimes when people think like, oh yeah, I'm 49, I'm 50, whatever, I'm 60, I'll be all right, I got time. I don't know what's gonna happen 5 minutes from now, 5 hours from now, 5 days from now, 5 months from now, 5 years from now. We don't know. And if we look at people that are in our family or in our peer set and look at just the physical mobility issues, things like that, moving that yardstick and that deadline is not going to be in your favor. Or staying, or even if you did move that yardstick, you're also saying that's 2 more years of you eating, shit food, dealing with stressors that you don't know how much that is aging not only your body, because again, talking about gastrointestinal stuff, I know Sheeta had mentioned during Exodus Summit, and it's true. It's like she said she moved abroad and realized, oh, you're supposed to take a shit more than once a week, right? So much of us are bound up from stress. Stress kills. And so, yeah, as Doctor said, time is a gift. We are actually I'm going live on Sunday. So I am going live every Thursday now at 5:30. But also I'm going live on Sunday with Dr. Londi, who is a psychologist, and she is based in Japan. Some of you who are in the blaxitglobal Passport group have already read an article that I shared that she was featured in recently. But Dr. Londi is going to join us live on Sunday at 8 a.m. And that is because she lives in Japan. So it's going to be 9 p.m. for her. And so we don't want to keep the good doctor up too late. So the exception is going to be I will be live really, really early for some of you, but it'll be 1 p.m. for me. So we're going to be talking about psychological safety and moving abroad, because we as Black people have had our fair share of shit, either in our present day or just dealing with things from our past, our ancestors, etc. And so we're going to talk about how psychological safety, you can achieve that by moving abroad. And the reason why that it's important, yes, I did, Alicia, I said the S word. It's safety. So the reason why that's important is because I really believe that moving has helped my mind. I'm not ruminating. The mental toll and the stress and the anxiety of being in the States, wondering if you're going to be the next hashtag, we have a visceral reaction when someone who looks like us has something egregious happen. Actually, a couple hours ago, before I went live, I read this article on People about this young man who, even though he had the Crown Act, who has locks and was kicked out of school in Texas. No surprise that it was Texas. disciplinary action, and they put him in an alternative school. It's 2023. So just the mental toll that it takes living in the States. And so I find that being here, being in an environment where I feel safe, Portugal is one of the safest countries in the world, and also learning a new language. I'm surrounded by the Portuguese language where I live. Um, I feel that it's also helping me, we talk about, and I'll leave it to Dr. Londi, but to talk about like neuroplasticity and the brain's ability to like have new connections. Everything is new for me. Everything is new, including the language. So being able to communicate, starting to understand the environment that's around me, that is feeding new things to my brain, new stimuli, positive stimuli. That's very different than the life that I lived before, where everything was routine. I could do it in my sleep. Sometimes I would wake up or not even just wake up. Sometimes I'd be looking at the clock and I'm just like, what did I do today? Or just having no concept and no memory of the thing that I did a few minutes before because it was so rote. So, we're going to talk about psychological safety because I think that's something that's really needed in our community. And so, I would love for y'all to join us on Saturday or Sunday, Sunday, because Saturday is our freedom party, Sunday for an early bird special YouTube live. Um, and y'all are awesome. Y'all are doing great in the comments. No connection with locals. We're almost at the finish line. No connection with locals. So that can make or break your move abroad. Sometimes people have this desire to stay completely with, what's familiar. So it's like, oh, I'm going to hang out with other expats, which, of course, we talked about community, and that is important. What's also important is connecting with locals because, case in point, if you're moving, and this is a big one that comes up, and we're going to talk about it at the Move to Portugal Summit, where people know that Lisbon is one of or the highest cost city now in Europe. And for people who want to move here, it's like, oh, they see that headline. It's like, oh, I can't move to Lisbon. Right. And it's like, okay, I haven't seen a country where the cost of living has ever gone down. Right. So it is what it is. But that said, it's like realizing that locals, right? If you think, remember going back to what I said before, open the aperture. Maybe if you live in Lisbon, but you live in a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of expats, right? The cost of living is going to be lower than if you lived in the city center where there are tourists and expats. Or if you live a little further out, remember the cost of living is going to be comparable because they're going to have, services and food and restaurants and things that you're going to call on that's going to be consistent with the locals. So that's what I mean. When you connect with locals, the locals are going to tell you, hey, don't go to that. You're buying your food there? No, we buy our food here. Or, I have someone who can come and help you with, A, B, and C. Or if you're looking to buy a home or whatever it is, connecting with locals is like the next level cheat code to acclimating in a new country and helping you feel more connected to that country and not feeling like you're on the surface level, right? It's just another layer of depth. Yes, Lacey and Rick said, those older expats should know the locals, ask for intros, get to know the folks in your neighborhood. Absolutely. And me, when I set forth on this journey, when I went to um, New Zealand in 2017, we didn't get the dog until the pandemic, 2020, September of 2020. So it was actually after I had started the podcast. If you listen to the earlier episodes, Bailey was not part of this journey. And I'm so glad she is a little stinker. I think she finally went to bed. But I love it because one, having to take her out multiple times a day pulls me out of the house. But two, because I have a dog, it's a conversation starter. So I meet Portuguese people, I interface every day. And it also requires, which gets to my next one, language barrier. My understanding of the language is grown exponentially through immersion. When I step out the house, I gotta be, oh, bom dia, como está, like all the things, because I know when I go outside, she's gonna see a dog, they're gonna start sniffing each other's butts and stuff, and then they're gonna be asking me questions. But it's helping me, some of the things I remember from my Portuguese with Carla class, which I will drop the link to that here for anybody who's interested. That has helped me tremendously with, being able to acclimate and have, I would say a little bit beyond basic conversations, right? Because I can understand context much better now. They'll say, oh, menino or menina, boy or girl. Cuántos años tienes? How old is she? And things like that. ¿Cómo se llama? Her name and things like that. So I'm able to have those interactions. Then, I mean, sometimes they catch me like if it's too early in the morning. And my brain hasn't like kicked on yet. And it's like, uh, um, but it is helpful to learn the language, especially if you're going to a country where English isn't spoken. But this is one of the things that I want to tell you for those of you who think you can't move to another country because you can't learn the language. Okay, I'm saying this with love and kindness. I'm saying this because somebody watching this, either live or the replay, needs to hear this. We are magic, right? Look at this. Look at this hair, right? This hair, our hair in its natural state, grows up, right? To the sky. We are effervescent. We are the people that built the Sphinx, pyramids. We ascend from royalty. You can't tell me we can't learn another language because we're the same people that we were just talking about doing 10 times the work and getting half as much. So you can't tell me you can't learn another language. You can do it. You have to tell yourself that you can do it. You have to believe that you can do it. Because honestly, every other country I've been to, other people speak their language and other languages, including English. But in America, Americans only speak English at best. We're not going to get into grammar at best, right? You can do this. What can't we do? Right? Don't let little language get in the way. Don't tell yourself, oh, I can't learn it. I'm too old. My mouth doesn't move this way. What? We came into this world, none of us knew how to speak. Right? We cried. We cried. That's how we communicated. And then when we became toddlers and we got frustrated, we threw some things or whatever, had a temper tantrum, and eventually we started to be able to learn. But guess what? Our caregivers, even though we were crying and we didn't have words, figured it out. You'll figure it out. Give yourself some grace. You can do this. You can do this. Yes. Yes. You can do this. Absolutely. Lisa said her hair don't do that no more. I know, right? Look, 'cause she got it. Karen said, "Does Bailey seem more calm since arriving in Portugal?" Yeah, I'd say that's a great question. She is she is more calm. I think some of it is age, because she's now 3. But yeah, I say she's calmer, but she likes to be in these streets. Because I would take her out, and then I want to come back in the house, and she's like pulling, want to stay outside, want me to take her on these long walks. When I first got here, because Bailey had a weight problem, she was getting really overweight. I had stopped the treats like over a year and was walking her. And they, even before I left, they were like, oh, she has to lose weight. So, first day I got here, I went to buy her food across the street. And the gentleman, I mean, I was only here like at that point an hour and a half. And I went to buy her food, and he spent a half an hour with me explaining about the foods. And he was like, the food she was eating in the States, like, we don't carry that one. And I was like, wait, what? Even the dog food. He's like, oh, I need, let's try getting her on this. Then when she hits goal weight, we'll transition her to one of the brands that we have in Portugal because it has better proteins and blah, blah, blah. Explain all this stuff to me. When I tell you this little doggy eats this food, when I was in the States, her food would sit for hours, but she would eat a little bit. He said the reason why, he was like, the food bulked her up. And I said, yes. I said, she's a little dog, but she was like meaty in the middle. Bailey's working on her hourglass figure now. And she stays out in these streets, meeting dogs, having me take on these long walks. First day we were here, we went on a long walk to the park. And I almost had to pick up poor Bailey because she was huffing and puffing and salivating. And I didn't have the water with me. And I was like, oh, now this is her regular. Oh, I take her on that short walk. She's pulling like, no, I don't want to go back in the house. I want the long walk. I want the long walk. And she's a social butterfly. Social butterfly. Uh, I just want to make sure that when you said, oh, you're talking about Bailey, I wanted to make sure you didn't. I was hoping you weren't saying like my audio cut out. I was like, oh, Lord. But I think I know what you meant. Let's see. So, yes, don't let the language barrier get in the way. And then lastly, but not least, what derails moves abroad. Lack of direction, not understanding your why. If you listen to the blaxitglobal podcast, you know that I'm always talking about your why. Your why is going to get you through a lot of things. Your why is going to get you through like what I had to deal with like a week and a half ago when I got my Navigat card, which allows me to travel unlimited, excuse me, for €40, and I can do ferry, and at least you can keep me honest if I get it wrong. I can do the train, metro, and ferry, and I think there's one other method, a bus. Yes, bus for €40, unlimited. And I love the bus. The bus has free Wi-Fi. Um, and so I had to get the first one. I knew like be prepared. And this was like my first real interaction with like what they talk about the bureaucracy. Why did it take 4 hours? Shout out to Kevin who's been on this channel. When you watch the scouting trip or scouting Guadalajara, he's visiting. He kept me company for an hour. but why did it take 4 hours? And I knew I had to have a picture, and I thought I had an extra passport picture, but I didn't have time to take another photo. But I was like, oh, I thought they could do it there. I asked the guy. He's like, oh yeah. I don't think he understood what I said. So I wait the 4 hours. Finally, my time. I'm like, I ask again because I'm like, okay, still a little queue in here, because I had to wait almost 40 minutes just to get the ticket number, the ticket, because they have these little tickets. Then it was like 3.5 hours. So I get inside, and the guy was like, "Where's your picture?" And I was like, "No, but they said I could take the picture here." He's like, right? And I'm like, dude, don't send me home. I waited for 4 hours, please. In my head, right? So he wants to take video of me because he let me use the selfie from my phone. So my selfie from my phone was like really cute that day. That is my Navigant picture. But all that is to say, like not being clear on your why when you have that, if you're like, oh, I don't know why things take so long. Or in America, this is like, mm. If you love America so bad, stay. Right? And I'm not saying by leaving you hate America, because I certainly don't. I just choose not to be there. There's a difference. See, they told Alicia no selfie. They let me get a selfie, girl. They let me use a selfie. Yeah, video me. Um, but all that is to say, not being clear on your why is going to get you through those times where expectation and reality are two totally different things. They don't even look like they're even remotely related, right? It's going to get you through those times where, like when I was my third day here and I had taken my brand new sneakers out of the box and took Bailey for a walk and then stepped in dog shit. And I was just like, and it's just like, okay, but I'm here, right? If the biggest headache and hurdle and challenge of the day is that I stepped in dog shit in my brand new sneakers, okay, right? So being clear on your why, not having a purpose. So what's helpful is, and we talk about this in the group in our accountability check-ins, especially in our Portugal accountability group. And that was because we had so many members, and we still do have a lot of members that are moving in the next couple months, is start crafting the routine that you want to adopt in your new country. Because just going on its own is, you're going to have probably more time than you've ever had free time. You need to create some structure in your day to give you a sense of purpose, to help you, settle in. And I talked about this actually in my talk for Exodus Summit. One of the reasons why I didn't succeed in Costa Rica when I was on my scouting trip is I try not to do anything touristy on a scouting trip. I just try to do my normal routine. And this way I can see if I'm having difficulty doing my routine there, then this is not the country for me. So do I have strong Wi-Fi? Can I go live? Is it walkable? Right where I was, it wasn't walkable, or there was, but I didn't want to get hit by a tuk-tuk. Or like when my cell phone cord broke, and I understand there's no Apple store in the jungle, but if everybody has an iPhone, then how are y'all charging your phones, right? Or 4 hours, which is what happened in the airport in Costa Rica, from the time I landed to the time I got the stamp to leave the airport from immigration, from customs, took 4 hours. So my mind said, hey, if I had to get back to the States, like, or I needed to come back in, right? Why would I stay in line for 4 hours? But one of the deal breakers for me was you can't flush things. And I was like, oh, that's going to be problematic because a lot of things come out of a human body and it needs to be disposed of. So again, when you go scouting, having a routine, having a purpose, right, and seeing not just the beauty of a country, but also looking beyond that, thinking about, um, you know, where you're gonna live, the country's, track record, right, politically, human rights, environmentally. Those are the things that will help you. But again, being clear on your why and your purpose for being there is going to help you develop and allow you to blossom and flourish where you are. So I'm going to go right back quickly to the comments, and then I'm going to bid you all adieu because it's almost 12:30 in the morning for me. Relax the legacies in that bathroom situation. Hell yeah, because I said y'all should have led with that. All the YouTube videos I was seeing, nobody had said anything about that about Costa Rica. And I had guests on the podcast. But again, you can't take an entire country, right? But it was the particular part that I was in. And yeah, I could have said, oh, okay, I could have gone to another part of Costa Rica. True. However, remember there were macro things like the whole airport thing. And then the fact that there was like no major highway, and that it took forever to go from one side to the other. And I was just like, this is not going to work. Right. And I found myself getting bored. And so that was a big red flag for me. Whereas here, I'm there's always a festival, a museum, a restaurant, a rooftop bar. There's something for everyone. Yes. And Lisa made a good point. And maybe that's no big deal to others. You have to experience for yourself. 100%. Because what rings true for one person is not going to ring true for another. Some people love Portugal, some people don't. Some people love Costa Rica, some people don't. It doesn't make one right and one wrong, or any country, right? It doesn't make one right, one wrong. We're all different people. We have different tastes. We're as unique as our DNA. And so, what I want to challenge people to do is get the information, but also if you're curious enough to think that, hey, I can envision myself being in this place, then it's in your best interest to go on a scouting trip, take it for a test drive, and see for yourself. But like I said, one way which you can kind of help you be on your best foot forward is try and do your routine. Like if you're like today, I was coming back and picked up some hair care products that I needed to get. And I was like, oh, I was wondering where the beauty supply store. And then I remembered when I was here in Lynette, if you're in the comments, you showed me this at one of the metro stations. And I just happened to be going through that line. They have these beauty supply stores. So I was able to pick up my gel and whatever I needed on my way home. I didn't even have to go to the store. It was like I'm passing through the train. So it's like super convenient. Yes. Anya said, yeah, about not picking up after your pets. Yes. Yes. I thought there was one other question. I'm going to take one more. Tanisha. I haven't been on the tram. I have not done the tram. I have not done museums. I have been reserving some of those things for when people come to visit. And, but yeah, I probably will do the tram soon. But I've been wanting to do the museum, but between putting on this summit and then our freedom party this Saturday, there is no shortage of things going on. So with that, I think we did it, right? Ooh, almost 2 hours. I did it, but thanks y'all for rocking with me. I'm just gonna recap, not the list. I'm not gonna recap the list, but I'll recap the big things. Is these are the things that if you give yourself time and attention, this isn't to call anyone out. It's to just elevate your level of self-awareness. Or if you know somebody who's on their journey and this would be helpful to them, please pass this along. But yes, please tune in this Sunday. Like I said, I'll be going live with Dr. Londi, and we'll be talking about psychological safety and moving abroad as it relates to Black folk, of which we are. She'll be joining us live from Japan. So you can also ask her questions about what life is like in Japan. And definitely loop in if you haven't already gotten your ticket, get your ticket to the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. Whether you are serious about moving to Portugal or curious, or you're in the late stages, this is still a good summit for you because you don't know what you don't know. There's a lot of things that are changing, and we're going to have the experts. So this is your one-stop shop to get your questions answered. And so you're not piecing together information. You're going to get it from attorneys, tax professionals, real estate professionals, and hear from Black expats who are living in different parts of the country who can share their own unique perspectives and experiences. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to be collaborating and partnering with our Black Utopia on this. This is something that we've been working really hard on for months. And so we are weeks away from sharing that with you. So definitely want you to loop in for that. As I mentioned, if you're curious about the scouting house that I'm going to be hosting, it's called Nomad Noir, and it is in August of 2024. So for that, those of y'all who are thinking about your 2024 trips already, definitely you can come and I will be your host for either a 3-week stay or a 1-week stay. I will post that in the description of this video when I get off. And let's see, listen to the blaxitglobal podcast because we will be back with new episodes in January. I am going to start recording now that my equipment is here. You can probably see my little mic. Ooh, once I got that mic, y'all, you know, when that shipment came, I was like, yes, my stuff, my stuff. So I have guests lined up, and so we're going to start recording next month, and we will be in your ears come early January. So with that, let me see. Anya said January countries. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to put this one up so people can see. And she meant January 2024. Visa requirements are changing for many countries, including the USA and Mexico. Yes. And Portugal as well. Yes, most countries have a cost of living adjustment and things change, right? So we're going to also talk about that the year ahead from some of our experts too. So again, hope you will be there. And Maureen said, Obrigada, Krishan. This has been incredible. Oh, you're welcome. Yes, hopefully I'll see you around Lisboa or St. Martin. All right. So good night, y'all. This is great. Looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. And then again next Thursday. Bye. Bye for now. Thanks for kicking it with me. I appreciate you.